Hi guys. What are you guys looking back there? I told you I smoke cigarettes, so I roll my own. So if you saw anything back there, it was tobacco. I anyways, today's post for the culture proof yesterday for New Year's Eve. I did not go anywhere, right? I was at home and I just happened to see this movie with Farrah Fawcett. And you get her name. Do you understand her name? Farrah Fawcett, like faucet, makes you cry like faucet. And so the movie had Farrah Fawcett had a girl who had Down syndrome, and she had like a black family that worked for her as a housekeeper, and then and so it was in the 50s, and what happened to like black people back then was like they were like destined for poverty, and so they if they had like a also a Down syndrome kid, the kid would die. And then but if you were white and you had Down syndrome kid, even the best you could hope for was like just sort of like um they couldn't live independently because in my neighborhood in the city around where where what I see are that there are Down syndrome young people and Down syndrome adults who are independent. Like they take public transit, they go to work, they go to school, and they're on public transit and they're on their own and stuff. But I was watching this Farrah Fawcett movie, and boy, oh boy, it was like back then, if you had Down syndrome, like you really didn't know what would happen to your kid. Like nobody understands. So like the fate of a Down syndrome adult, what would happen after you're gone? Can they take care of themselves? They're gonna poke themselves in the eye with a pen or something like. And then if you were black back then, oh my God, you just end up poor and suffering and stuff. It was, oh my God, it was such a, oh my God, it was such a hard movie to watch. Farrah Fawcett, right? Fawcett, like make you cry. So I realized something after watching that movie is that if you don't understand how things are supposed to work out, because so I was thinking watching this movie, right, and I was thinking, well, for the normal average person, what they do is they grow up, they get married, they move out, they get a job, they raise their kids, and then they just die, right? That's a normal person. But if you're like you got a funny situation, like if you got a Down syndrome kid, you don't know how the kid's gonna end up, like their story arc, their fate. Or if you're black and you're poor, you don't know how you might end up, um, and so on and so forth. Or if you're a refugee, you don't know what's gonna happen. Like you don't know your story arc, you don't know your fate. Just read about it. It's happened before. Like so, I thought about that. It's like from now on, if I'm ever in a situation, say if I get a Down syndrome kid in the future, and I wonder what happens to them as they grow older, I'm just gonna read about it. I'm just gonna read like, find some book somebody wrote about their own kid. I'm just gonna read about how it might be possible to, how to get there and stuff. Because a lot of us, we might be like, we might find ourselves in new situations and we don't know what I call the story arc, the plot, the fate, how it's supposed to turn out. Just read about it. Well, a lot of times when we read stuff, we take tragedies um, for granted. We take tragedies as sort of like deterministic. Just read about it and don't make the same mistakes they do. It doesn't have to end the same way if you avoid those same mistakes. So just read about it, know how life can turn out well, and avoid all the mistakes that there's a reason people write books to share so that you read about it and you avoid the same mistakes. A lot of times, yeah, I was watching this story. It's like I really don't know how like Down syndrome adults could ever make it, but I realized nowadays, this was back in the 60s, but nowadays I see Down syndrome adults taking the bus by themselves, going to work or school by themselves. You know, and I'm sure they're exposed to like crime or bullying out there in public, just like everybody else. You know, if you don't know how, just read about it, and then you become familiar with sort of like the story arc, how things are supposed to happen nowadays. Okay, so that's my video diary for the Culture Pro. I'll see you guys later. It is now 2018. Happy New Year. Bye bye. See ya.